whether you want to be or not. And so a lot of times in life, it's a matter of finding out how it is that you can get yourself someplace. To discipline yourself, absolutely. To discipline yourself is to give yourself a motivation to show up. The motivation for showing up is very rarely ever going to be, I want to. Anybody walked in the hallway today and said, oh my God, today I have English. Can this day get any better? You come running in here because there's no place else you want to be. No, only one person probably, and that's me. Everybody else, you'd probably all rather be somewhere else, but you showed up. That's the first part of it. Now that you've shown up, what can you get out of it? And these are some of the habits that he's talking about. People who believe in themselves, why do they believe in themselves? They have good reason to believe in themselves. Why would you show up to a class? You have to have a reason to show up to it. Some people get absolutely zero out of it. And my guess is probably absolutely zero out of a lot of things in life. And that's just a lost life. Unfortunately, that's a lot of people. That's why the people who achieve and excel and do extremely well, we typically know who they are because they find a reason to be there. You're here for a reason. You're alive today for a reason. Hopefully there is just a purpose. If not, you gotta make one and create it for yourself. It isn't anything that's a surprise. How do you be successful? Yeah, discipline, 100%. To be disciplined in what area? Yes. To self-discipline. There's a basketball coach over at UCLA, John Wooden. You can read books by John Wooden, fantastic books about leadership and about self-discipline. And he has this great quote. He says, discipline yourself and others won't have to. If you discipline yourself, others won't have to. If you're an athlete, let's say, and you're at practice early, and you're disciplining yourself to get there early, to focus on every single shot, to focus constantly on practice, you aren't gonna have to have a coach who disciplines you, yells at you, makes you do extra running, because you're already disciplining yourself. If you discipline yourself to get to work on time, you're not gonna get written up by your boss. He's not gonna discipline you because you're there on time. If you discipline yourself to do the little things right, then all the big things take care of themselves. And that's one of the hardest things to get our heads around for us, actually to get our wills around. And it's like this class here. I mean, not even necessarily, maybe I guess, yes, this period, but also my classes generally. Do I stand above you? Do I walk over to you? Hey, what are you doing? Put your phone away, do this. Come on, get to work. Hey, do I take you outside? Hey, I noticed that you're missing 8 of the 9 assignments. Do I pull anybody aside? Do I send emails home? Am I constantly hounding you down? No. Why? Because if that worked, it would have already worked, because I'm sure you've had people like that before. But I give you an opportunity to find out how disciplined you are or not. Are you disciplined in certain areas? Yeah, I imagine so. I'm not particularly disciplined in getting the grading done, obviously. But what is it that I'm doing otherwise? I'm planning next year. I'm putting stuff together for later. I'm over there at the desk. I'm constantly working. I'm not watching videos about pugs or something like that. I'm doing stuff, constantly working, always working. One of the best compliments I got was a friend of mine. I went to his jiu-jitsu gym recently. He teaches somewhere up in Kearney Mesa, and I was talking to him and his business partner, and he was telling him about me, and he said, "This is the only teacher I've ever met who works all summer, whether he's working or not." He said, "This guy works more when he's off than he does when he's actually at work," and that's neat because I don't tell him what I do. He just sees it. He comes around and he sees it. And I'm like, wow, that's neat that somebody actually notices it. And whether or not it comes, whether or not it comes off here, I don't know. If it comes off here, it's like, you plan all of this? Like, really? Can you imagine how bad it would be if I didn't at least? It's self-discipline. Can you show up? That's a big one too. Can you show up? Showing up is a big part of it. I don't know who's going to, I don't know who's going to be the number 1 pick at the NBA draft next year, but I know that whoever it is going to be someone who showed up. I don't know if you're applying for a job, over at McDonald's or whatever. I don't know who's going to get the job, but I do know that whoever gets it is going to be someone who showed up and filled out the application. The people who get whatever it is in life that they're after are people who show up for it. If you're in a band, People will say, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That just isn't true in life. If that was the case, you would never have to go anywhere. You could just sit on your couch and just wait for the record executive to show up and offer me the contract. The band who gets signed is the one who shows up. They show up to the studio, they show up to the gigs, they show up to practices, they show up constantly. And it isn't just when you want to. And that's the hard part about things like that. Because sports are supposed to be fun. Asterisk. Not when you get to higher levels. I played Little League Baseball when I was a little kid. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. At that level, everybody has to play. You're required to play people, and you have fun. It's great. When you get to Division I college, Division I college baseball at UCLA, it's not fun anymore. You have a schedule. I have to be in the weight room certain days. I have to be at infield practice on other days. There's batting practice. Everything is scheduled out. Your classes have to be during certain times so that you can work your whole schedule around playing baseball. Do I ever sit there and go, I don't think I want to go to practice today. I'm going to go to the beach instead. No, it's a job at that point. You have to be there, whether you want to be or not. And so a lot of times in life, it's a matter of finding out how it is that you can get yourself someplace. To discipline yourself, absolutely. To discipline yourself is to give yourself a motivation to show up. The motivation for showing up is very rarely ever going to be, I want to. Anybody walking in the hallway today and said, oh my God, today I have English. Can this day get any better? You come running in here because there's no place else you want to be. No, only one person probably, and that's me. Everybody else, you'd probably all rather be somewhere else, but you showed up. That's the first part of it. Now that you've shown up, what can you get out of it? If you didn't show up, you don't get anything out of it, of course. You miss everything that happens. Well, then what happens when I'm here? Whatever happens when you're here is different from whatever you get out of it. And whatever you get out of it is also part of that discipline thing up here. Like I was talking about, how is it that you motivate yourself to be somewhere? Do you see a purpose in it? If you don't see a purpose in it, you've got to give yourself a purpose in it. Find a way to make it fun. Find a way to make it interesting. Find a reason to be there. And you're gonna maybe you get there and you're only like 1% better. That's fine. It's 1% better than you would have been otherwise. What would you be doing otherwise? And that's a question I perpetually ask myself. And I ask myself that in a real sense too. What would I be doing otherwise? If I wasn't teaching you guys right now, what would I be doing otherwise? Yeah, I could be at the beach, sure. I could do that. I could be at home playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. I could be doing that. There are other things, but then the question is, what do you derive from it? What do you get out of it? And that's the thing to figure out. What can you get out of it? You're here anyway. You might as well get something out of it. You're in your math class anyway. You might as well get something out of it. Because there's always something that you can get out of it. It's finding out, it's disciplining yourself to find out what you can get out of it. I know some of you have heard of David Goggins before. I've mentioned him a few times. David Goggins is, to refresh you, he's the only guy in American history to go through selection for Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and Air Force Search and Rescue. And I've mentioned a few things about him in the past. This guy has no business being in any of those. He has these physical problems, which all should have stopped. He has a heart murmur. That should have stopped him from doing it. The guy's body structure, he has negative buoyancy. Most of us have positive buoyancy, which means that if we get into water, we float. That guy gets into water, he sinks. And yeah, he became a Navy SEAL. This guy, if you ask him, this guy goes into ultra marathons. He doesn't just do like the 26 mile marathons. He does like 120 mile marathons, 200 mile marathons. Imagine running to Los Angeles and back. He does those kinds of marathons. And he doesn't listen to music when he does it. You go to the gym and you put the headphones on, you're pumping yourself up. If you ever see me at the gym, I'm listening to podcasts. But this guy's listening to, does he listen to music? No, he thinks that's cheating. So he doesn't put any music, nothing on. He does it with no music, no headphones, no nothing. Because he's like, your motivation has to come from inside, not from your music. And this guy means it. And when you're asking him, how is it that you get through the selection process for all these things? Because they're designed to break you down. They're designed to defeat you. And he has a great answer which applies to so many areas of life. He says, you gotta make a joke, you gotta make some humor out of it. You gotta find something funny in it. Like, what's so funny? Everything. if you know how to look at it just the right way. So for example, you'll see stuff like this in Ranger School. You'll be given like a 100-pound rock, some twine, a piece of wood, a wheel, and I don't know, like a marker, something like that. And they'll say, okay, figure this out, take all this stuff 20 miles that way. And you gotta figure out how to do it. And you have a team of like 3 people. So who's gonna carry the rock? Who's gonna carry the wood? How are you guys gonna do all this? It's a problem-solving task that's also designed to make you guys pissed at each other. Come on, hurry up, do this, to make you start to fight. They wanna see if you're gonna fight with each other, if you're gonna say, forget it, I'll do it, and start doing everything on your own, or if you're gonna become a team, and as a team figure these things out. And that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for necessarily the strongest, the fastest, the smartest. They're looking for the people who can work the best as a team. Can you integrate yourself into a team? So how can you do that? You make it funny. It's hard to break down people with senses of humor. Ask the Irish. It's hard to break down people with senses of humor. I remember one time, you guys have heard of the luck of the Irish before? If you know anything at all about the history of Ireland, these are the least lucky people to ever exist on the planet, man. I remember one time asking my mom about that. Just like, luck of the Irish feels like you're walking down the street and you step in a pile of dog shit, but you don't get any on your shoelaces. So you're like, oh, it must be me lucky day. It's like a history of just tragedy that you find like one little thing. So one little bright spot. I remember asking my mom, what is that luck of the Irish? My mom said, it's the ability to keep a sense of humor through everything. And if you can do that, then you're lucky. But you're also motivated. You're also going to be highly effective. So as Goggins points out, you need to come together as a team. How do you come together as a team? You don't come together as a team by yelling at each other, blaming each other, telling people they're not doing their job. You make a joke out of it. You find it funny because you got to be there anyway. Do you want to be there angry? Do you want to be there bored? Do you want to be there laughing? Do you want to be there having a good time with your friends even when the time is difficult and bad? And so he says, come together, find jokes in it, find humor in it. If you guys understand that, hopefully you understand my approach a bit better as well. And so you find a reason to be there. I remember when I was in college, I had this class, it was a geography class. This professor, he used to talk like a Disney villain. He's a really tall guy. And he used to talk like this, like if you like Disney villains or like, he would do stuff like that. And he was really unpopular. The students hated his guts. He was always just trash talking them. They were trash talking him. He was very into politics, and his politics were completely the opposite of the students. The students were really angry. They'd storm out of class, whatever. I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. And so I'd sit there and just tell, yeah, professor, tell them. They need to hear this. Whatever it is he's talking about, whatever conspiracy, whatever, I'd always kind of stir the pot, jump in there and support him on it. Everybody else seemed to know what was going on. They all realized I was just having some fun with it. The last day of class, he came up to me. We had a final exam, long story, but it was a very, very difficult final exam. Most of his class was very difficult. Most of the people in there were getting like C's and D's. For geography, like where is stuff? Most people were doing very badly in that class. And when you're in college, a D is an F. It might as well be. You don't get any credit for that thing. So he came up to me while we're doing the test and said, he says, Mr. Scanlon. I go, hey, future Dr. Scanlon. And he laughed, he says, future Dr. Scanlon, have you ever heard of the law of reciprocity? I said, yeah, it's the law of reciprocity. You get what you give. And he says, yes, fantastic. He says, today you're going to learn the law of reciprocity. You've been great all semester. I've enjoyed having you. So you have an A in the class. You don't need to do the final exam. Go ahead and go home. Like, really? Dope. That's fantastic. Some of you are maybe this person. Don't be this person. You ask, someone does something nice for you, and you ask, are you sure? Someone gives you a candy bar. Are you sure? No, never mind. Change my mind. Give it back. No, somebody shows you some grace. Someone shows you something nice. Take it. Accept it. He goes, you have an A. Go home. I said, fantastic. That's awesome. I appreciate everything, Professor. Good to know you. My girlfriend at the time was dying, trying to hold on to her seat, studying her ass off, going around doing all the final exam stuff. The moral of the story is, I got through the class by finding something funny in it, finding some humor in it, finding a way to be there. And I know there are people who are just dead set and committed to not having a good time, to not laughing, to not enjoying their time. But the thing is, you're going to be there anyway. How are you going to spend the time? How are you going to invest the time? Enjoy it? Not enjoy it? You're going to live a life anyway. How are you going to get through it? Through discipline? Undisciplined? Because the results are going to be, I mean, life is going to happen. The question is just, how is it going to go down such that you're doing well in it, you're enjoying it, or not? And these are some of the habits that he's talking about. People who believe in themselves, why do they believe in themselves? They have good reason to believe in themselves. Why would you show up to a class? You have to have a reason to show up to it. Some people get absolutely zero out of it. And my guess is probably absolutely zero out of a lot of things in life. And that's just a lost life. Unfortunately, that's a lot of people. That's why the people who achieve and excel and do extremely well, we typically know who they are because they find a reason to be there. You're here for a reason. You're alive today for a reason. If you go to work later on today, you're going to work for a reason. You have to find the reason, find the purpose. Hopefully there is just a purpose. If not, you got to make one and create it for yourself. And that's one of those habits he's talking about. Show up, even when you don't want to, even when you feel like you don't need, even when you feel like you shouldn't be there. You show up. And by the very fact that you show up, consistency, which you can hear a lot about, consistency, that's going to drive you. Because even if you're only 1% better, every day you show up, after a week you're 7% better. Actually, it compounds, you're more than 7% better. And so the question is to find the things that motivate you, find the things that can get you to where you need to be, because you got to be here anyway. Confidence, that comes along with it. You know, Angel was talking about it. Be successful in some small things. Be successful in some small things. Once you're successful in small things, you've got good reason to believe that you'll be successful in big things. As one of my baseball coaches used to tell me, do the little things right, the big things will take care of themselves. Do the little things wrong, the big bad things happen as well. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Neat.